well, to hear you tell the story, it's like, you were just around, you're running errands, you're going to sing the song, whatever. At what point does it hit you that like, yo, this is making it? Because it's not like
Yeah.
you're one, and and I know that this song is now going to live forever in past pop culture. But it's also overshadowing the fact that you also had like 8 other, top 10 hits as well.
Yeah, but I also think that happens with artists sometimes. I mean, obviously, you can look at the greats, and I don't know how many greats got now, but they've careers where there's so many different songs you could say none about this one. And a lot of artists, and I'll throw myself in that, I've got one that everyone remember them from, and then when they go on Spotify or whatever, and they go, oh, I kind of remember that one as well, and oh, did he do that? Didn't know that. You know what I mean? There's a bit of that going on, but
right.
So I don't feel any. I don't have any hang-ups about. I'm glad I've got that song because it sort of opens doors and windows for me all the time. So I'm okay with it, But I think
it's weird. It's weird to hear that because most of the times, I'll run into artists that hate their biggest. Nirvana famously stopped playing "Smells Like Teen Spirit" the last year and a half. De La Soul hates "Me, Myself, and I." I'm working with Mary J. Blige right now, and Jesus H, like, the amount of number one songs she has, where it's like, I don't do that no more. I don't do that no more. I don't do that. Like, it's like, come on. But yeah, for you though,
I think a lot of it though, I don't know, we're jumping time frame now, but a lot of it goes to the fact that when I kind of quit, I was about 27, 28, and I quit for a lot of reasons. I'd had enough. I knew the writing was on the wall. To sustain any kind of pop career is almost impossible, to be honest. As we say, there are some greats who've done it, but it's so difficult, because it just is. And you've got to give everything you've got, time-wise, effort-wise, everything, all your energy, everything to it. And I was a bit sick of it, and I just didn't want to do it anymore, blah, blah, all those reasons. I was super lucky I got to do it for the time I did. So I didn't sing Never Gonna Give You Up, Altogether Forever, or anything else for about 15 years. The only time I ever, or maybe more actually, the only time I ever did it was at friends' weddings. That's the only time I ever did it, right? And now I do it at friends' kids' weddings, which is even greater, to be honest. That really, that gets me right there that they want me to do that. So that's cool. But I didn't sing those songs. I didn't sing Never Gonna Give You Up, night after night, or da-da-da. And I've sort of lived a very simple, very, very comfortable, thank heavens, and I do thank heavens, and I'm grateful for that, but a very obscure life, if you know what I mean, in terms of like, I haven't been famous for all those years in terms of that. I mean, I know there's been a bit of fame come back because of Rick Rowland and whatever. And so I approach singing Never Gonna Give You Up completely differently, I think, than perhaps artists who've done it for 33 years. When I came back to it, I'll try and explain that really quickly, right? It's sort of happened in two ways. A promoter who is massive in the UK and is involved in managing me as well. I bumped into him at a showcase in a tiny little pub in London because friends of mine had written the tracks and everything. And he said, look, why don't you sing? Why don't you? And I said, no, I'm done really. And he said, well, why don't you just go out and do it again? I said, well, I haven't done it for years. And he said, well, what if anyway, he got in touch with him. What if I put a little tour together? You can sing anything you want. It'll just be in front of a few hundred people, nothing big. You don't even have to sing your old songs if you don't want. Just walk out there and sing and see if you want to do it again. I'm like, who is this guy? And it turns out this guy is an amazing guy. And he promotes like things from like Coldplay, Adele, right the way down to brand new bands, right? He just loves it, lives it, he breathes it.
Wow.
So I'm like, what a crazy offer that is. It's just unbelievable. And around the same time, I also had an offer to go to Japan, and I'd always turned down all the offers to sing all my old songs. And I just thought, so I did this little tour, and I sang Frank Sinatra, Burt Bacharach, anything I wanted to that I remember as a kid, my mum and dad used to play. And my dad had a really great voice actually, and he used to sing the wrong words, but he used to sing Frank Sinatra around the house all the time. So I went and did that with a little brass section, a very small brass section, 2 or 3 guys, I think actually, and just a really stand-up bass, all the rest of it. tiny little venues. We played Ronnie Scott's. They allowed us to come and do it there because we were doing that kind of thing.
Right.
Went up and down the country, and I absolutely loved it. And something in my mind went, like a light bulb just went, okay, so you can go out and sing, but it doesn't have to be your be all and end all. It's not every part of your life. You can do it when you want to do it. And I accepted this offer to go to Japan, mainly because our daughter, who was 15 at the time, and my wife really wanted to go. So we went on a really lovely trip, and I sang those songs, Never Gonna Give You Up, Together Forever, and a bunch of others. And again, the same light bulb went on of like, so you go out, you sing them, you walk off stage, you put a different jacket on, and you go out for dinner. And that's it.
Right.
It's not like you go out there, there's 300 screaming fans, there's people taking your picture, there's you've got to do interviews all day the next day. And by the way, you'll be on a plane at 4 o'clock going to another territory to do it all again the next, you know what I mean? It's you can pick and choose. You can have a life in music that isn't, I'm not saying I can ever attain the success I had in the 80s. I can't possibly do that, but I can enjoy it a lot more. And that's kind of what I do and what I've done ever since.
Can I ask though? Okay, so one, I wanted to know, what was the straw that broke the camel's back as far as you walking away? And how did you manage to make a living, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, sure.
For those 15 years?
Yeah. Okay, first one then. I think a lot of things were just coming together. We had some, like everybody has got a story about a record they made that never did anything or just didn't see the light of day, didn't get released, whatever. So I had a couple of things like that. We did a record, an album away from Stock Aitken Water, my first one, and the first single from it was called Cry for Help. And I was so lucky with that record, but I also knew, well, I might not get to make many more. So I thought I'd love to get a couple of my favorite drummers on it. So we did some stuff with Jeff Porcaro came and played drums. We didn't actually use those sections in the end because it turned into something else. Vinny Caliuti came and played drums on that song.
Oh, the Monsters. Wow.
Yeah. And I'm sat there in a room going, I don't know what's going on. And I got to play their drum kits as well, by the way.
Right.
And obviously we had some great musicians. Andre Crouch, it was his choir that sang on the record. And obviously, I'm sure to this day, but I think around any of that time through the 90s and onwards, if you wanted a choir, there were a couple of choirs to ask, and he was probably at the top of it. And so some of those experiences were amazing. But anyway, so that record came out. We had a top 10 in America with that song and a top 10 in the UK and lots of different countries. So I thought, this is crazy. I've left Stock Aitken Waterman. I've made a record with Vinny Caliuti on it and a choir, and yet we still had a top 10. And I had long hair as well. I just grew my hair for a bit of a laugh and what have you. And I thought, that's it. We've turned that page. I can go and make records. Cut a long story short, up to that point, I think I'd had like, and this sounds like sour grapes. It's not. I was just shocked by it. I just didn't understand what was going on. The next couple of singles we released didn't really do anything. We didn't get them anywhere near the charts.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was they were more like pop songs than the first one. And it transpires that basically the head of RCA in the UK was moved out. A new person came along, kind of got rid of everybody and started again. And that was in that transition of in the middle of that record. So to be honest, we still, I'm not saying this, believe me, I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to give you the facts, right? We still sold over 1 million albums with one single, but it just didn't go boom, if you know what I mean. And we didn't get any more singles at all in any chart anyway. It just didn't happen. And so it made me realize, and a few like people who know what they're talking about said, look, that just happens every now and again. You can be in the middle of a record, and if your record company just disintegrates, it doesn't matter how good your record is. And even though you've had a hit with it, and if the album's kind of out there and it's doing well, and it's could even be top 10, in a couple of weeks, it's just going to die a death because there's nothing making it happen. And what it sort of made me realize was that unless your record company really wants this to happen, unless they're really on board, you know what I mean? You've got no chance, really. And I'd never experienced that before. And obviously I was still a kid, really. I was young, you know. So anyway, so that record kind of ended. So we start to make, are we going to make another one? Are we not? Are we what have you? So I'd written a song I can say this because it's years after now, so it's cool. So Madonna was going to be in a movie called Body of Evidence with Willem Dafoe.
I remember that movie.
God, I watched this 2 weeks ago.
No, you're joking. That's nuts.
I wanted
That's
to watch. I had COVID 2 weeks ago, so I wanted to.
Oh wow.
I wanted to watch all the horrible films I heard about.
Okay.
So I
you
watched
got all
Body
that
of
away.
Evidence.
Okay. All
I
right.
watched Basic Instinct 2. I didn't even know there was a
Two?
sequel.
Yeah, there was a sequel.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
garbage. Yeah.
Basic Instinct, yes, but not Basic Instinct 2. Right. So anyway, so
Right.
somebody who was A&R in the project or what have you sort of said, well, look, that whatever. So the guy I wrote Cry for Help with, a guy called Rob Fisher, he and I wrote a couple of songs. This song was called Hopelessly that we wrote. We sent it in to possibly be in the movie. We got this thing back saying, look, we absolutely love it. We're going to come to the UK. We want to be involved in how you record it. We don't not necessarily produce it, but we've got to be there. But we need it done right away because we're really close. We just got to get this thing done. So we went, great. I was mega excited. I'm like, but there's something in the back of my mind's going, why isn't Madonna singing this song? Why isn't she singing her own song? Why isn't she? What's going on here? What? But he said, no, she doesn't want to sing any of the songs. They don't want any. They just, she wants to act, and that's it. So I'm like, great, that'll do for me. Madonna's going to be part of, you know, this massive thing, and I'm going to get a song in it, and let's go. So we do the song. Everyone said, we love it. It's great. It's perfect. We send it off. It's all great. So my record label, which is still RCA BMG at the time, said, right, we need you to make an album because this film's coming out in a few months. And so have you got any songs? I said, well, I've got a lot of songs because I've been writing. I've been, you know, and I said, right, just get in this trade. So I went back in the studio with the guy I'd made the last album with, a guy called Gary Stevenson, who's still a good friend today. And we just got stuck into making an album. So we did. So Body of Evidence is coming out, and they've decided they're not going to have any songs in Body of Evidence. They're not going to do this with a lead song because it doesn't really, that's going to confuse people and whatever, right? Maybe they did have a song in the end. Yeah, maybe they did have a song in the end. I can't remember, but they certainly didn't have ours. I don't think they had any.
Right.
I think they just had the theme music. They didn't want to confuse Madonna's career with like this music that was out. And, it's like, what is it? Anyway, whatever. And maybe that's just the way I'm remembering it. So at this point, when I go into the record label and I've made an album at this point, most people, when I walk in the building, are kind of looking out the window, hoping not to make eye contact because now they don't know what to do. Now they don't know what to do. It's like, is this record any good? Is it the right record? Should we be doing this? I'd like to keep my career, so I'm just going to look out the window when he walks in the building. So that record didn't really, and at this point, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to walk away. I think I'm just going to say, look, I'm going to, while no one's watching, and they obviously weren't, I'm just going to walk. I'm going to walk out the side door. And I spoke to my manager, who spoke to my lawyer. I was doing promotion for that record that had this song "Hopelessly," which was going to be whatever. And I think we were sort of getting a bit of headway in America, actually, funnily enough. And I was going to the airport. I was going to Heathrow to get on a plane to go to New York to be on a TV show. I forget which one. To sing this song "Hopelessly," and it was sort of getting played a little bit, but it wasn't getting the full. Do you know what I mean? And something in me said, "I've got a daughter at home who is like, you know, 1 year old. I think she was, something like that." I'd just done loads of promotion in Europe, and it all felt pointless. Yeah. I don't know whether you guys have been there, but it just felt
absolutely.
Pointless. It felt like, you know. It almost felt embarrassing, like sort of like we should just not be doing this. Really, they don't want to do it. I'm not sure I want to do it anymore. So I'm going to Heathrow, and I turn around to my manager, who's still one of my closest people in my life, and you know he's a bit of a surrogate father. And I said, I think I'm done. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just don't want to go, and I don't want to go, and I don't want to do this. And I knew what it meant because I knew that's it. You know, you don't not go to New York to go and do a TV show and the record company go, oh, that's fine. I said, I think I'm done. So he said, fine, let's call the lawyer and we'll just see if they'll let you walk away and forget about it and we'll shake hands and we'll do that. And so we turned the car around and I went home and I cried a bit. You know, I did, obviously. I knew what it meant. And I just went home and we had a bit of a hug and he drove home and he called my lawyer and he called BMG, and to be fair to them, they said, yeah, we're okay with it. If he wants to quit, we don't want to do it anymore. And that was it.